Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Patrick with MacPack Professional Canine Training. So we are starting this new series, you could call it, of Q&A, where you ask the questions and then I do this video to answer them for you. So today our questions are being brought to us by Tuesday Capone, not Al Capone, just Capone. So the question that was brought to me was, the subject is rough play. And this is a broad spectrum of a question that I get a lot of people very uncertain of what is play that I should be stopping, what is play that is normal. Question reads like this. Tuesday, who is 8 to 9 months old, plays so hard, and Capone, who is 6 years old, is so submissive that it looks like she's picking on him. They do love each other, and Tuesday isn't aggressive, but she is a bully and pulls his ears, tail, and legs. It's hard to tell when I should break it up because Capone whimpers, but then acts like he still wants to be near her. So if we go back and touch on certain parts of this, you're noticing that one dog is 8 to 9 months old and the other is 6 years old. So there's quite a large age gap between these two dogs. Usually the older dog is the older, wiser, this is my house, you're coming to my house, you young dog, kind of thing. The word in here is used as hard play. Now that term with people can be different amongst who you talk to, is what is considered hard play versus what is soft play or common play. The other word we hear is submissive. That's also another word that is broadly misused in the term of people think just because a dog is quiet or maybe a dog doesn't engage in certain activities is quote unquote submissive. Hitting on the word hard play. The whole nature of dogs, of playing, wrestling, quote unquote fighting, of how you like to, some people like to say, is really in the dog's nature is quite natural. From pups in wolf packs, from when they're young till get to the point where they leave mom's side and on their own, will wrestle and fight a lot. This does a lot of things for them. It teaches them how to do this, how to defend themselves, how to later on how to hunt, and it also teaches them as they rough play with each other. They will bite on each other, and sometimes you'll hear like a yelp, especially a lot of times with puppies. And then the other dogs stop. What this is doing is teaching the dogs of how hard their bite is, and they learn and gauge of how much pressure to put, distinguishing between play with them and later on between actually hunting, as it would be with dogs in the wild. Submissive, a lot of times what that means, more detail, is a dog who will usually, when some other dog is wrestling, usually that other dog who is more of the aggressor, not necessarily aggressive. The aggressor usually be on top, the dominating stance. Usually the more submissive dog is the one that'll lay on its back or on its side and still do the wrestling or hard play. In the dog world, when a dog will lay down for you, just lay down. This is a very submissive stance, and a lot of people understand this. Teaching your dog to sit is very easy for most people, but getting the lay is so much harder because it is a much more submissive position for a dog. So when a dog actually rolls over on its back, exposing its chest cavity, its stomach, and so forth, this is the most submissive position a dog can get into. So when a dog does this, it means that they trust the person or other animal that they are engaging in this activity with, basically with their life. Because in the wild dog world, when you expose this part of your body, you are basically exposing yourself to that other dog, can basically excessively hurt you or could even up to kill you. So to expose that is a very, very comfortable in way and submissive, saying, I trust you. She puts in here, it looks like she's picking on him, but they do love each other. Love each other, a lot of times people say, oh, that was rough, we break up, but no, look at, they love each other. For the most part, dogs that do live with each other, for the most part, do love each other. Remember, dogs only need three things. They need food, shelter, and love. Okay, if we're giving them food, we're giving them shelter, we're already giving them love. So the love thing can be taken out of context, especially if you do have a dog that is submissive. The other one is dominating. It just might be that other one is just willing to accept the new role. So just because you're the older dog does not mean necessarily you are the pack leader of the family that that dog is in. So a young dog could come in and actually take the pack leader position. And she says Tuesday isn't aggressive. That also is another term. Some people think in play, if the dog isn't growling or drawing blood or sounds like the Tasmanian devil, that the dog isn't aggressive. Well, there's actually many different stages of aggression. And that can be to how a dog takes a dominant stance in play. It talks in here about pulling the ears, pulling the legs, to where Capone yelps, but then she kind of Tuesday plays dirty and keeps going in. That is, in a way in itself, is a beginning stage of aggression. And what that is with that dog and that atmosphere. Now, Capone might be nice. The dog, each time it does something, dominates Capone, it feels bigger and stronger and more confident that look what I can do to this older dog. So you have to really watch that, especially how the dog acts around other dogs, if you take the dog to dog parks and so forth, okay? It says it's hard to tell when to break it up. Most people are, if they doesn't sound like they're trying to kill each other, I'm going to let it go. And then they'll wait till much later to try to, quote unquote, break it up, because, you know, now it just, the sounds I'm hearing or what I'm seeing, or the dog might have drew blood, you know, this is enough. But the problem is a lot of times people, when they break things up and it gets to that point, then we stop, and then later on we let them start playing again, and then we get to the point, and then we got to break it up. Then we stop them from playing. Then later on they start playing again, and they get to the point we have to break it up. So you see in the pattern in this, what you're doing is allowing the dogs to get a certain level, and then you're breaking it up. If you give a dog an inch, a dog will take a mile. So the whole point is if this is progressing like this to where you have to break it up, you need to stop it before it even gets to that point. I have worked with many clients, and working with one currently where they have a 3-dog household, where they thought the one dog was the aggressor, and it wasn't. It was another dog who would come in, want to play, bounce around, and when that engaged the bigger dog and they start wrestling, then the little dog felt inferior, as the bigger dog, being bigger and stronger, started to dominate in the play. So then the little dog took that as, you're challenging me, and that's when that one would challenge the bigger one and so forth, and it would blow up into a full out, almost a basic fight. So be very careful with Tuesday and Capone at this point of what you're doing. You really have to watch as they're playing. My suggestion to you is, if they're wrestling around and just rolling around and not tugging ears, but once the ear tugging, the tail pulling, or biting on legs starts, you need to stop it immediately, okay? And I asked Tuesday Capone on Instagram, I asked her, I said, how does she usually break this up, or how does it stop? And the way that she stated she stops this is either it's a loud clap, and if that doesn't work, which it sounds like sometimes that usually doesn't now, she will leash one of them up. I didn't specify who was getting leashed up, but you got to remember too is, a lot of people watch my videos, you see that when I do things, you have to get between the two dogs, okay? And you have to verbally separate it, making the sound, backing one off or backing the other. So if Capone is already submissive, this should not be a challenge. That means you probably need to direct your attention to Tuesday, and directing attention to back her out of, he out of the unwanted behavior that you're getting as far as the wrestling. So the basic bottom line of this whole thing is knowing when to stop. Is the rough play too much? So my final answer to you, from what you're telling me and what's going on, I would definitely, soon as it gets to the point of ear pulling, tail pulling, or Capone is yelping, it needs to stop immediately. And then from that point, you need to gauge of how much quicker it's accelerating to there, and you might have to start stopping it sooner, if not to a point of actually stopping it completely. Now remember, some people will say, well, why would I stop my dogs from playing together? This is what dogs do. But just like anything, you wouldn't let your two kids start wrestling each other to where one is hitting another one, or other one is screaming, or You know, they're pulling out wooden spoons, and now wooden spoons are not. In the dog world, this is kind of like the same level you're going to, okay? And sometimes just by stopping at 9-11 engage, they will find other ways to actually play with each other, okay? If you take one away, they will find another way, a more healthier way to play together. So, Tuesday Capone, I hope this answers your questions, okay? If not, you know how to get a hold of me. Direct message me, and we can always do up a follow video. Anybody else is watching this, I thank you for your time. If you'll click on the link below and start following us and subscribe, this is going to be a continual thing. If you have a question for me, please go to my Instagram, which is MAC_PACK_K_9. And in there you will find my website and my email address. Email me, direct message me your question, and I'll make a video like this for you where we'll follow up with the question so we can help others. Everybody gets a chance to get in. And if you have any statements you want to make to this video, also the link below, make them down there and I'll follow up with those. So, have fun.